Welcome back, everybody. So here's Night Breeze, and this is my continuation of the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons lessons. This is number 9, and we'll be discussing the Druid. Now, a Druid is a subclass of Cleric, and they are in first edition, which is what we've been discussing mainly, they are the only absolute neutral um, clerics around. They're a nature priest, so they must have a minimum wisdom of 12 and a charisma of 15. And both those scores have to be 15 or higher for the druid to gain a 10% bonus to their XP. Um, and in first edition, druids had their own uh, spell lists, and they're more attuned toward nature and the outdoors. Um, but they do serve a purpose for strengthening, protection, and revitalizing the party, just like a cleric. Um, Now, some of the druid spells are much more powerful than clerical, and they do have a wider range of weapons, but they're unable to use any armor or shields other than leather or leather armor and wooden shields. No metallic armors at all in first edition. Later editions, I believe they could use um, I think in second edition they could use like elven chainmail or something, but I'd have to reread that one. Now they do have to speak or read their spells aloud, when they cast it. Uh, Due to their involvement with the living and growing things, they do not get any power to turn or control the undead, anything like that. You know, they they do hold trees to be sacred, particularly oak and ash, the sun and the moon as well. Mistletoe is going to be the holy symbol of a druid, and pretty much all the druid spells that take a material component require mistletoe. They do have an obligation to protect trees, plants, uh, crops, and to a lesser extent, human followers and animals. You know, you definitely don't want to try to burn down a druid's forest. Uh, you know, and it says they'll never destroy woodlands or crops. Um, Even though woods were wholly hostile, filled with nothing but enemies, they won't destroy the woods. But nothing stops them from going in there and wiping out the stuff that makes it evil. Just they won't destroy the trees, the plants. Um, they do try to avoid slaying wild animals or domestic animals, except as necessary for self-preservation and for sustenance. They're not opposed to hunting. Just they're not out there just randomly killing animals for the hell of it. If a druid observes any creature destroying their charges, the stuff that's under their protection, the druids are unlikely to risk their lives directly, but it's possible the druids will seek retribution and revenge at a later date as the opportunity presents itself. Um, Now, a druid, because of their connection to the nature, they have certain innate abilities that are gained at different levels. At third level, a druid gains the ability to identify a plant type, identify an animal type, identify pure water. And then they can pass through overgrown areas, undergrowth of thorns, briar patches, etc., without leaving a discernible trail and at the normal movement rate. It doesn't even slow them down. You know, so basically at third level, they can tell you what a plant or animal is, or they can show you what that this water's pure. At seventh level, They're immune to charm spells cast by any creature base that's usually associated with the woodlands. Druids, nixies, sylphs, that sort of thing. They also get their shape-shifting ability. They can change up to 3 times a day, and they become, in all respects, save the mind, a reptile, bird, or mammal. Now, each type can only be assumed once a day, once per day. So they could become a mammal once, a bird, and then a reptile. The size can vary from as small as a bullfrog, blue jay, or bat to as large as a large snake, eagle, or a black bear. About double the druid's weight. Each new form removes 10 to 60%, just roll a d6, multiply by 10, of damage that they have. So, but they gain the powers. I mean, so, yeah. They may be a weak human, but they can turn into a mighty bear. you know. Now, druids do have a secret language and speak it in addition to any other languages they would know. Upon becoming 3rd level, and at each level thereafter, a druid gains a language of his choice. Centaur, Druid, Elvish, Faun, Gnome. They can learn Green Dragon, Hill Giant, Lizardman, Manticore, Nixie Pixie, Sprite, Treant. Pretty much your nature related or, yeah. In melee, they fight as clerics. So, I mean, they're just like a cleric in that respect, but they do suffer somewhat from their inability to wear armor. I mean, it's going to be easier to hit them. They make their saves same as clerics, but against fire and lightning or electrical attacks, they get a bonus of +2. Druids can use magic items that are not otherwise banned to them, which are for all classes and for regular clerics that are not written. Books and scrolls they don't do. But when I say not forbidden, I mean if it's a weapon they can't normally use, obviously they can't use the magical version. Or armor they can't normally wear, they can't just use the magic version to get around that. Now, once you hit certain levels, there's only a limited number of druids. At 12th level, there's only 9 druids. And that's where they have the title Druid. Each 12th level druid is the leader of a body of lesser druids, and will have an entourage of 3 underlings. Above those is a great druid. Now first is the archdruid at 13th level, and then it's the great druid at 14th, and then they expanded that in the Unearthed Arcana, which I don't have opened up here, but to let me grab my copy of it. I just happen to have my hard copy right here. So we'll just grab the druid information here. Here we go. Yeah, at 14th level, they're Great Druid. At 15th level, they become the Grand Druid. And there is only one Grand Druid in the world. Great Druids, it's a regional thing. So, your DM will determine that particular setup. Now, after they become the Great Druid, they basically lose all their experience points. They go back down to 1 XP. And then, but after they've gained 500,000 more XP, they can become a Hierophant, which means they step down. And then they get even more abilities after that. But you know, um, at 16th level, after they've stepped down from the Grand Druid, and they are now a Hierophant. They gain the immunity to all natural poisons, ingested or insinuated, animal or vegetable poisons, including monster poisons, but not minerals or poison gas. They get extra longevity equal to their level as expressed in decades. So at 16th level, they can live another 160 years. And of course, as they go up in levels, that can can increase. The vigorous health, basically, they're at the prime of their life, physically. They also can alter their appearance at will. That takes one segment. So, what is it? 6 seconds, I believe it is. And they increase or decrease their height by 50%, their apparent age from child to very old, and body and facial features of any human or humanoid sort. This alteration is non-magical, so it can't be detected short of a true seeing spell or the like. Okay, at 17th level, they gain the ability to actually hibernate, basically suspending animation for the same length as their longevity. But they don't age. They can also enter the elemental plane of Earth at will, and they're going to be protected on that plane. So they are not going to die from being from that plane. It's nature. They can also conjure a water elemental, and that can be done once a day. And then at 18th level, they can enter the elemental plane of fire, and they're able to conjure an air elemental. At 19th level, they can enter the plane of water, or conjure a magma or smoke para-elemental. That's, again, your DM's going to have the information on those. 20th level, they can enter the plane of air and conjure either an ice or ooze para-elemental. 21st level, they gain the ability to enter the para-elemental planes. At 22nd, they can enter the plane of shadow. And at 23rd, they gain the ability to enter any of the inner planes, roam the inner plane probability lines, and dwell on the plane of concordant opposition. Now, with the inner planes, what that can do is, since they're protected, they're not going to get the level draining, energy drain of like, I believe it's the Abyss has, or it's the 9 Hells, where it basically zaps your strength. That's not going to happen to them because they're protected from that aspect. So, now, each time, once they have achieved, they're ready to advance to 12th level. They are required, or then if they want to increase their level, there either has to be fewer than 9 of 9 druids, or they have to best one of the 9 in spell or hand-to-hand combat. If it's not a mortal combat, meaning it's not to the death, the losing combatant drops the exact number of experience points necessary to place him or her at the beginning of the next lower level. So the minimum needed for 11th level. If they succeed, they do become a druid with the full powers, and the former druid, drops down. If the player character loses, they're remaining at the lower level and lose hit points in the bargain, or experience points. I mean, now that changes at each one of them. So when a druid wants to become an archdruid, they gotta go seek out an archdruid. And then the great druid, and so on. Multiple attempts to move up are allowed as long as the character survives. Now, druids are not going to permanently dwell in a castle or city, town. They prefer to live out in sacred groves, in the, dealing in sod or, log, or maybe some stone buildings that are small. Um, Now, when attaining the higher levels, they generally inhabit building complexes set in the woodlands or similar natural surroundings. Housing for their underlings. But as for druids, I've played usually a multi-class druid. If when I've done druids. Um, Now that's it can be interesting because there's a choice, a druid mage, that you have to be a half elf to become that. Because only humans and half elves can be druids, if I remember correctly. Let me double check my chart here, because I hate to give you guys improper information. Where's my... Of course, I can't find my chart. Here we go. Yeah, a half elf or a human. Yes, I know some of the later editions remove a lot of these racial and requirements and such, but as it is, it's half elves and humans. But they were talking about the need for revenge, and that I was in a party, and they one of our party members set fire to a forest. It was a mage using one of the classic spells, Fireball, and he started a forest fire. It was in game, it would have been about 3 or 4 months later. The party got attacked by a bunch of animals in a peaceful farming community. The druid got some friends together and they summoned some animal. They used animal summonings and they shape-shifted and basically we were fighting bears, wolves, and snakes, and we were outnumbered about 3 to 1. There was only 2 survivors in the party. My thief I was running at the time was one of them, because I was actually a pretty intelligent thief. I wanted, the background was he wanted to be a mage, but he couldn't afford the training. So he started stealing to get the money to train to become a mage. Well, he just never did. He found he liked the thief. So he backstabbed the wizard. Took him out. And the Druids then considered the vengeance achieved and left us alone. The player of the mage was not very happy about me backstabbing his thief or his wizard, but oh well. Yeah, I really didn't mind too much in that case. I also had one where we prevented anything from the Druids because we took the mage out ourselves. Um, we actually had a mage cleric or mage druid in our party, and again, wizard caused a fire with a fireball, and but we didn't see it. We did not witness him do that. So he joined the party because he was a replacement character. We'd already killed one of this player's characters for being an idiot. I'm sorry, he is one of my best friends, but yeah, that game his characters were really stupid. But he cast a feeble mind spell on one of the party and got caught. Then he threatened to fireball us in the middle of our boat. Well, my magic missile went off before his fireball, and our druid mage polymorphed him into a squirrel. We killed him, skinned him, and made a hat out of him. His first character had been polymorphed into a squirrel, skinned, and we made a pouch out of him. And then later on, that same player brought a character in that made us, that tried to attack the party and got killed. Only he didn't get polymorphed. He got raised as a zombie because we had an evil cleric in our party. So we put the pouch and the hat on him, and he was our trap detector. And that worked out really well until he stepped into a room where 20 fireballs hit him and kind of obliterated him. But, druids can be a very interesting class depending how you play them. And being neutral, you don't have to worry about is this good or is this evil or what, You're holding the balance. You really don't even have to worry about law or chaos. Just, balanced. Now, I'll discuss a little more with alignments later. So, but that's, the basics on a druid. So the next episode will be coming soon, and that's going to be on everybody's favorite, the fighter. Of course, it's one of the, most typical classes, So I'll be back with that information soon. Thank you for joining me, and have a great time, everybody. If you enjoy my content, please leave a like. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. Make sure you click that notification bell and turn it on so you're notified when I upload, because I'm not the most consistent. And as always, please, if you like my content, let me know. Leave a comment. If you don't like my content, please let me know. Leave a comment. As long as you're, polite about it, If you're just going to say, well, you're, beep, 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 then don't. But, tell me, what you think. And if you want to tell stories about your D&D character or whatever, feel free to leave that in the comments. I love reading them. So, but thank you all. I hope you all join me again soon. Have a great time.